I'm now live. Okay, I'm inviting Afomia, and she's going to talk about the authenticity in social media class that she's going to be training. Hello. How are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
good.
good. How are you?
I'm good. I wish I could see what you're wearing better because it's like under the comments, but it looks so nice and like the colors feel really similar to what I'm wearing.
Oh, yes, I love that.
You, you're blue in it though. Are
Uh,
you
I, I do have a little blue in mine. Yes.
are you at work or at home?
I'm at work.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing this with me. I know it's like late and the end of a work day. I really appreciate it. And I've been excited to talk to you because I also just haven't seen you in a really long time.
This does feel like significantly longer than usual. So
Even
we've got to repair that. Yes.
if it wasn't that long ago. Like, I think I saw you 3 weeks ago.
But in the grand scheme of things, that feels like long
Like,
for us.
I know.
Yeah, it does.
Um, you were out of town and then you had a birthday for someone else. And
Yeah.
so
Yes.
we'll get out. Can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Afomia. My pronouns are she, her. I am in the content creator space. I work as a content creator for Smile Squad, and I make content on my own page as well. I also am a social media and digital media strategist. I currently work with nonprofits to help them um, amplify their voice online in an authentic way. I work with individuals and brands. I've been working with Mia. um, I'm really excited to talk to you all about this today. I've been feeling really excited about this live because it's not often that you get to touch on a pain point that you personally experience and be like,
Mm,
hey, if you felt this way, I have some tools that could be useful. Because I remember when I would go through like what it is that I now offer for others, I feel so like if I had had that, I would have felt great. Sometimes I wish I could clone myself and do it for me. But
oh, I know exactly what you mean too, because it's like I can't give myself the guidance and advice that I can give other people. And then so I need to surround myself with people who can give me guidance in ways that I can hear it and when I can't give it to myself. And I feel
yeah,
really what you gave me for social media is it was like a reflection of the things that are already like important to me and like my values. You were like, you can do that in social media. You don't have to do it in ways that are like um, that feel icky or like uncreative or not aligned.
I think what makes me so excited is like how interconnected this work became. Due to
Mm,
my sessions and work with you, I was able to attack like boundaries and consent work. I was able to kind of attack this area that had been challenging for me. And like I feel as though they work together and they come up often together so frequently.
yeah, it's almost like they like feed into each other like again and again and again and again. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, you had an amazing outline prepared for our conversation today. Can you tell me where we should go next?
Okay. Well, I think first things first, maybe providing some clarity on what exactly we cover in our authenticity social media
Oh, yes.
class.
Yeah.
And also just kind of, if I can start this by just advocating for the educator training, like
Thank you.
if if this is something that you're interested in, like saying you want to learn more about consent and boundaries and facilitate conversations around those things, and that can look a myriad of different ways. Like in our educator course, there was no two individuals that were doing the same thing. So that
Like
was really exciting. Go ahead, sorry, man.
that's totally true.
Yeah. So it's really exciting to see how everybody plans on using it and um and in wanting to get your message out there. Social media is a valuable and useful tool to consider in sharing that message. So as I advocate for this class, I want to say why it's important to teach this. One huge point I want to make is that even if you're not wanting to teach this in a formal class, or like I want to have online training, or I want to teach people on Zoom or like in class structures how to have consent. Like it doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to look like what Mia does or what I do or what anybody else you've ever seen does. I think that was kind of the biggest eye-opening thing for me, was like, I don't have to use this in a classroom setting for it to be
Mm,
effective, or for me to be like, or for me to train as an educator in this.
totally. And you even came into the educator training having been a teacher. And then now you use this stuff. I mean, you are teaching it, you're using it in your other jobs, and you are like holding other people's hands through this material and like these concepts and these ideas, but you're doing it in a way that you're, exactly as you said, it's not like a conventional like teacher class situation. I
Yeah.
might be doing trainings for like staff at somewhere that I'm working. I'm not gonna utter any more about it for the time being. But that's, if that's something that within, like if you already work for someone else, you can do this training, or, with other people, you can do this training and then like bring it into your immediate, whatever it is, community
Absolutely.
or job or company or organization.
Absolutely. And it's so exciting and interesting how they flow together. So if you're thinking about it, but like not sure what it was going to look like, one of the great things about the educator training was that I was able to kind of workshop and work. There is time that is intentionally set aside to figure out how you want to practice it, which I didn't actually, and I don't know that how much you advertise that in advance, that portion of the class.
Yeah, I like didn't even consider that that was like something that people would want to know. You're totally
Yeah.
right. Like with a bunch of other like-minded people, you like brainstorm what it is and you get like real-time feedback like I would do that, or what if it was like this?
It's not only the information that you're getting, it's the community that you're building, and then the the creativity that seems to blossom and blow because you're having these wildly transformational conversations and learning how you can embody them. An educator doesn't have to look like, here I am as a professor, like I'm wearing like I have this professor energy. It's like it can look like educating can look like having one conversation with someone that's transformational, and
Right.
it can vary from there. So there's that.
Well,
um
that was I wasn't expecting that. I really appreciated that from you.
I do. And I just wanted to make sure, because also for myself, kind of to remember and remind myself, these are people who, this class is being offered to people who want to embody this practice and find ways to apply it
Creatively.
creatively. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so what we cover, that's kind of the general, like what happens in the educator training, which Mia facilitates very well. The class that we work on together is about authenticity and social media. And some of the things that we cover, and Mia, feel free to jump in at any point,
Mm.
include working through imposter syndrome. I think for me, one of the biggest barriers to entry for creating content or being a face of content was my own feelings of being an imposter and not belonging in that space. And I think that's, whether you want to make content about consent or any other thing, anything, any topic,
Yeah.
feeling like an imposter or like wanting to put yourself up there. I felt this way at Smile Squad. Like it's
Mm.
really tough to like just put your face on content and say like I deserve to be here. I deserve to take up space. And so that comes up for everyone. Like even if you have social media already, go ahead.
That came up for me big time around reels. I was like, do I really want to be like the, I don't know. It feels so much more vulnerable. Like I can write and feel very much like, okay, I can like put this out and I can take some distance from it. But my, weirdly enough, like with all the acting training that I had, it was feeling so scary, very imposter syndrome-y. And also like, who am I to think that my, what I have to say is important? You know, like that's a really big, why should anyone listen to me?
Exactly. And but then like if you step back and you're like, why do I listen to anyone else? Like
Exactly.
who are your expanders in this space? Like who do you like receiving information from?
And
And
how do they do it?
how do they do it? And is that that brings me to the next part of what we cover in the class. Like what does it look like to authentically be in a content like space for you? Is it like some people have a really strong meme presence? They just want to make memes and they can get information out there that way.
Right.
Um, I tend to push vertical content, like as in reels or video content, because I know that that is incredibly engaging and a lot of people consume it now and it works across a lot of platforms. But that might not be like the best medium for you, right? It's about figuring out what works best for you. And it's not about saying, like, I'm going to force myself to do something that I hate. It's also finding a practice that feels good for yourself. And sometimes just having options and understanding like what the diversity of content looks like, even if you've already seen it before, like having someone list it out for you, like your content can look like this, and this can be
Mm-hmm.
such a like like it can be such a calming experience. It can really help you like calm that nervous system that just gets super activated about like how am I supposed to do all of this, which is
Right.
what I felt like all the time making the content.
Yeah. Yeah. And there can be pressure to feel like it has to fit into a certain shape or structure or whatever. I think one of the things that you do so well in social media is like help people find like how to put their voice and the things that are important to them into each of the different mediums available to you within Instagram. Um, like like how do you make this idea into a reel versus a post versus whatever? Oh, that's something you should do a live about versus like that's a reel. Like that. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that comes down to experience and technique. Sometimes just having a conversation with somebody who has more experience creating content at a higher volume than you have in your life has can be incredibly transformational. I had that experience with Markion.
Mm,
I I knew what type of information I wanted to get out there, or I had a feeling of what type of content I wanted to make. I didn't know how to approach it, and I
mm,
felt like I needed all of these things to happen first in order for it to exist. Like, oh, if I want to make this type of content, I need to have this type of camera. I need to have like I need to be able to write this type of amazing script, or like I would have these big ideas, but I didn't think of how to simplify or bring it down. And if you keep creating overwhelming ideas or topics or try to like it's like trying to jump to the top of the staircase. When there are stair steps that like you're gonna exhaust yourself trying to get all the way up there. There are smaller steps you can take to making something that's transformational right now. And for me, and I wonder Mia if you feel this way too, what it allowed me to do was like make an impact in a way that like I could see tangible evidence of. I
mm.
got feedback. I got messages saying, "Hey, this meant a lot to me,"
Yeah.
or "This is powerful." And if that's really what the goal of why you're making content, I think most people are here because they want to make content not to entertain, but specifically to educate as well, and to give tools to people who maybe don't have them. Like hearing that, "Oh, this helped me," is like that's for me success. So maybe it's like it
Right.
doesn't have to be a number of views, although it has been. We have seen that virality for you as
See that.
well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But you're getting real time feedback of this meant a lot to me. This has been important to me. This has like changed my life or reframed.
Totally. Totally. You know, when I first started learning about consent through intimacy coordination training, I was it just the video just ended very, very suddenly. That was
Oh,
strange. It just like ended in a second.
my goodness.
Yeah. Anyway, we're back.
Okay.
Um, what were we talking about?
um,
Oh, when I was first learning consent stuff,
yes, that's what it
and I
was.
was like, I am 29 years old. Why is this like only just coming into my awareness, and it was changing my life at such a rapid pace, like truly within weeks, months, but maybe often weeks, I was like noticing myself applying this and being like, holy shit, this is like a way better way to move through the world. And I was like, I have to spread this information. That is what I have to do. Like, I'm training to be an activity coordinator, but that may or may not be a full-time job. And outside of that, I want to make this information accessible to as many people as possible because it is changing my life. Um, and social media is a really amazing way to do that. Like, and as you said, you get live real time feedback, um, where you can see like, wow, I'm doing what I set out to do. I set out to like share this information and I'm doing it.
I think sometimes the barriers can be such a block, but then being able to create something that is a small, like scaling things down and maybe making smaller pieces of what it is that you want to do, being able to break it down to something that is accomplishable, and then also getting positive feedback, both kind of like lifts you up to to create a system where you want to continue. It's really hard to it's really hard when you have this idea of what something is supposed to look like in your mind and it has to be perfect. This like notion of perfection is something that I really struggled with when it came to content creation, and it stopped me. I've been a creative person my entire life, but I have never used this platform because I was so afraid. And I think a lot of other creatives or artists feel this way. Like, it needs to be perfect before I put it out into the world, but like, we're not perfect. So why does our art need to be? Now, if you want to be intentional about your messaging and make sure that you're putting a lot of time and care into that, you can do so. But like, this notion that a product has to be super polished in order for it to be meaningful to anyone stops so many people from making content. And that's one of the things that I really push and work with people on, is that like, get that out of your mind. And I'm grateful because I have the experience from my work, like working in Smile Squad, having to make so many pieces of content so quickly, and doing it on a daily basis, that like I have actual practice of doing it, and I see how beneficial it is on that scale. So being able to give what I'm learning here to others to help them get their messages out there feels really rewarding, and I also think it's empowering for anyone on the receiving end.
I agree. It's making me think of, I think in the educator training, and then you and I just talk about this a lot, the way that like consent work fosters creativity. Like, it gives
Absolutely.
the spaciousness to go, I don't want to do that right now, and that's okay. And then to trust that there will come a time when you want to, and that you're only going to be pushing that down the line further and further if you force yourself to do anything. And so the creativity can really flourish in a space where you're saying like, I'll come back to you later when I want to, and like, thank you for this time, I'm going to go over here now. And when it comes to social media, I think there's, for a lot of people who are a small business trying to get their message out, promote anything, whether you're an artist, a musician, whatever, social media can feel like this thing that you have to do, and it does not feel creative at all. And I think like from working with you and getting your feedback on my social media stuff, I mean, I now look at my Instagram and I'm like, this is a work of art. Like, I put so much thought and care into this, and this is a true, very authentic reflection of me and like who I strive to be in the world. I don't always, do everything that I set out to do, but it is a beautiful like memoir of how I want to be moving through this world. And you help me do it also in an aesthetically beautiful way, in a way that doesn't burn me out, in a way that is like manageable and sustainable for me. And everything that you know about, like, you were saying that you help people get through like those blockages. There have been moments where I've been like, Afomia, I don't, nothing is coming to me. Like, I can't think of anything. And then you send me 3 text messages, like, try thinking about it this way. And it just like opens the floodgates.
I'm really happy to hear that. It's like, because I remember our first conversations about it when I first even pitched like creating video content in general.
Absolutely not.
You were. It was such a hard no.
I know. I remember it so clearly. We were sitting on your porch, and I was like,
Yeah. And that was 2 years ago. And then also like again, like recognizing that that media may not be accessible to everyone. Not everyone feels comfortable at that point. However, what I found with your work, the work in the educator training and the work of just consent and boundaries in general, is that it provides you with the tools to do an internal check and to find the terms that feel good to you, specifically you yourself, of how to engage on this platform. Because why social media in general? Like, why even, right? Like, why even? Um, and a lot of people say, hey, social media is not great for my health, my mental health at least. Like, I'm not feeling good about this. I'm not feeling great about this space. I don't want to be on it. And if that's the case, like, I 100% support that. And also, have you tried, or are you aware of like how to navigate it with tools?
mm-hmm.
And I think just giving people options, because this is, again, the why is that it's a public arena. It is a way to get your messaging out there to many people. And why not be like, in so many ways, Smile Squad, and I apply like my work here because this is like, I think the most concentrated amount of social media work I've ever done before.
Totally.
Like a lot of the messaging at Smile Squad is like, why not be a positive source of content in a space that can have a lot of negative content? In the same way as like, why not provide somebody something great for their mental health or nourishing, or like something that is thought provoking and allows them to like approach their life in a different way in a space that maybe doesn't often offer that. So if that's something that you have to like access to, and you can, if you want to get stuff out there, this is a great tool to do it. If you want to get information out there, this is the best tool to do it. It's free.
Free
it's
advertising.
it's free advertising. It's accessible in a lot of ways. You have control over how you do it. In way more ways than others. So I think that there's so many pros for it. And with that being said, now how do I create a practice of content creation that honors who I am? I think if social media triggers you, a great thing to do is figure out why. Like, is there something about other content creators that really bugs you? And is it something that you're working on within yourself? Or is it something that you do not like about yourself?
Yes.
Because that's what this work allowed me to do. And I also I've been working for Smile Squad for about like a year and a half now, approaching 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start making my own content first, like my own content on my own individual page, on my own page myself, until I was able to work through a lot of this stuff with you. Like, the consent work that I was able to do is like, I was able to recognize triggers within myself, but what it was, authenticity kept coming up. Why do I not feel authentic on my page? And then all of a sudden, when I was able to identify like what I felt like I was angry about other people doing, it informed kind of how I can approach this work my own way that doesn't feel icky. It doesn't feel like all the things I hate about social media. It feels like all the things I love about it. So I don't look back at my content and cringe. I think that was something that I was afraid of. I was like, I don't want to look back and cringe at the stuff that I make. I want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
And I think even hearing you say, like, I look at my page now and it's a work of art, that's such a success. It's a success story. Like, I just want to share the message that you can use these platforms in ways that are helpful, and it will ebb and flow. There are going to be times where, even if you are doing this work actively, there's going to be times where you need to step away and reflect and update your boundaries, update where you're at with it and how you want to interact.
Right. Yes to everything you just said. What I like about this is the way that, like, I leveled you up and then you leveled me up and then I leveled you up and then you leveled me up, and we're just like gonna keep leveling each other up.
I think I think I think that's like a really great part of this, and I'm glad that we're able to collaborate on this class together too, because it is a product of it is a product of they're a product of each other.
Yeah.
This class does any of your consent classes, I think for a lot of creatives, boost creativity to the extent where you're like, yes, whoa, now I have all of these ideas all of a sudden, and I'm excited about being able to share them. I can talk about my experiences in a really cool way. Content is all about relatability in so many ways, right? Like we want to see something that like we really connect to and can mess it. Like, so if you're able to talk about your
But with the caveat of specificity is the best thing that you can do, right?
absolutely,
Which is, like,
yeah,
I think for a lot of people, and that's like a tension that I had to really work through because, and I still sometimes catch myself in this old habit of saying like, you know, that I like striving, I catch myself striving to be as versatile as possible when really the best thing for me to do is be as specific as possible.
absolutely, because you're an expert on your own experience, and
Right.
especially with this type of lens of being able to look and reflect on your life. So
Yeah.
now that you have all of these things you want to share, like, but you don't know how to approach the medium with which to share it, that's why I kind of want to like pair. That's why I think it's really important to pair these two things together. It's like with creativity comes maybe the need or like desire of visibility. This space can be very triggering for a lot of people. How can we provide tools and resources for those who want to create a sustained and sustainable practice in creating social media from a way that feels good to them? So it doesn't feel like this thing that I have to do, but this exciting thing that I get to do. Because we see it happen every single day. Social media, like being a creator, is a career. It is a profession. It can exist on its own. And if you find a way that really feels good, this could be a path of freedom for a lot of people. And so I love to be able to provide tools to I want to be able to help people who surpass what I've done. And Mia, I know that you are already on a journey and a path where it's like your content has changed and evolved so rapidly. Like I think maybe it's even I want to clarify what it is that I do when I work with people in like brands or individuals. It's about harnessing that creativity. It's not me like giving you a list of content that you have to create every single day. It's just facilitating the conversations that allow your creativity to flow.
I can vouch for that. That is 100% what happens in sessions and in when we taught that class. I think like that's something that you helped me with so much that I really like because now what has happened is that my content, the content that I make keeps me in a state of flow because I am thinking creatively about new ways to talk about it all the time. And that pushes the work forward. Like that actually helps me go, oh, it also comes up in this context. I can show it here. Oh, that must mean that it's related to this other thing. Like that must mean it's part of a people pleasing thing. That must mean that that's part of this other thing. And I am constantly connecting these dots because I'm thinking about these ideas and these concepts, and I'm thinking about how to make them digestible and understandable in creative ways.
I think also a lot of time, like we experience a lot of burnout in social media. Like when you're creating content, you're going to experience burnout. And having conversations with content creators with with large followings and audiences who solely do this as their job. That's it. It's my sole source of income. I've seen people experience burnout. I've seen people go through just really and a lot of it I think even though they have way more experience than I am is paired with like not having the knowledge of internal check-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is a pattern and a practice that I can put into place to check in with myself about what I'm experiencing? Because if you're approaching this as like this is a necessary medium for me and I want to find a way to be able to come to this every day and it not drain but add value to my life, then we've got to create systems in place to keep you feeling safe and comfortable and growing from it. And I think the checklist that we came up with when we were Like when you
Right.
experience a moment of just like burnout, like, hey, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Like this is really frustrating, or I'm feeling really upset with the
Yeah.
responses that I'm getting, like, or a lack of understanding, or feeling like my messages aren't being heard in the way I want them to, a lack of control on how your words are being received. That happens for everyone, right? And so I think a lot of times this can be applicable to to any state that you're at. I'm a new content creator. I don't have any following. I'm someone with an existing large audience, or I'm somewhere just in the middle, you know? Because oftentimes we can experience success and not understand our formula for it. And then something will happen that will shake our foundation, and we don't have systems in place to take care of ourselves. So I'm really
Right.
interested in providing like tools and safety nets for people experiencing that, because it doesn't feel good. And you don't, the great thing is you don't have to feel that way.
Right. Well, I think that one of the things that I love about the way that I see the educator training in the work that you and I now do together, um, is that it anything that's like triggering about social media, or any resistance to something around social media, is really an invitation to draw boundaries. Meaning, like, here's how I'm going to engage with comments. Here's what's going to get someone blocked. Here's when I'm going to, like, stop looking at, I take a day off of social media every week, like a full 24 hours. Um, so anything that comes up where it's like, I don't want to do that, or I don't like that, or like this isn't feeling good or whatever, then you and I talk about like what does that mean in terms of updating my boundaries.
Yeah. And do I even know what my boundaries are? Have I actually taken the
Yeah.
time to do? And because those questions come up so often in class, I think it's a perfect pairing. Like they work symbiotically in
Right.
that way, where it's like there it's a necessary exploration that has to happen in order to utilize and feel good at to feel good doing this thing. I think i think social media is a lot scarier than that. It's like, for me, I just recently learned how to swim ish. I'm getting there, but trying to swim without goggles is really terrifying for me. It's a lot harder, and I just put the goggles on. I can wear the goggles. It makes life so much easier. So I'm saying, it's like, give yourself the things that you need to feel great about what you're doing.
I
Like
love that.
give your, like, yeah. And then also, like, another metaphor, you can create content. You can just do the thing every single day. Like, it can be a machine for you if you want, but wouldn't you rather enjoy it? It's like you can make the same meal every single day without, like, you can just do like, but wouldn't it be nice to create something really delicious for yourself that you enjoy? And I think that sometimes people just need a recipe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes you just need to cook with a friend.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I think that's kind of, I feel like that's what our experience has been. It's like I've
Yeah.
been coming over, helping you make dinner a couple times, and then like you're a master chef now. And every
Mm.
now and then it's coming in, checking in. Hey, have you tried this seasoning? That's about it. It's pretty much what it is.
Well, and also, you have all this information, like data, that's really valuable. Like, why, and like you can look at like more sort of macro information and be like, okay, so every time you post about this is working for you. This is working for you. Make sure that you're doing content about that this frequently. And like, yeah, just having those like stats and that info is
Yeah.
helpful.
It's a pairing of like analytical, logical, data driven research, but then also like what feels good to you. And I love finding the marriage of that. Like, there's a healthy amount of exploration that needs to happen, and like risk taking that has to happen on these pages.
Right.
And it's about creating the safe space to be able to take those risks in order for you to even have that data to begin with. And then once you have it, you're like, oh, this type of content gets me a really good response, but I hate making it. What do I do then? Right? There's so many ways to approach that. It's like, all right, what part of it do you hate? How can we rework it? Like, I think what I want to combat is that feeling of defeat and the feeling of complacency of like, this is it, I don't want to. I go through it periodically, and the thing about it is that it's not like I learned this thing, I create these tools, and I'm done with this forever. I'm always going to feel great on social media. No, it's never going to happen. But you can feel them a lot smaller. You can feel them a lot less frequently, and you can feel them for a lot less time with tools in place and a system and just some information. And then it can also be enjoyable. That part.
That part's huge.
Is there anything you feel like we left out or haven't mentioned yet?
No, I feel like we covered everything that feels really important to me. Is there anything that you want to share, like plug or anything?
Oh, thank you for that invitation.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily relevant to the training, but I have been okay. Actually, no, it is, because for me, finding like what authenticity looks like on my page has been a lot of different things. Like, I'm more interested in partnerships with things that I feel good about than necessarily paid opportunities in content creation, because I have a job making content. So what am I using my page for? Things that I feel really passionate about. And I've been reached out to by a coffee shop in Riverside, some friends that I have, Priscilla and Nayeli of Mundial in Riverside, and I'm doing Ethiopian coffee ceremonies with them. And it feels really great. Even making a reel about it, like, it felt really awesome. And because it's like, all right, this is the type of content that brings me joy. And whether or not it gets a significant amount of views, I'm providing an experience that I feel super close to. My culture is really important to me. I love being able to reconnect with my roots and being able to like offer, like, partner with a coffee shop to create an authentic Ethiopian coffee ceremony feels like a full circle for me. So if you're around the California area, the greater LA area, or anywhere near Riverside, and you want to join us at Mundial the last weekend of April, please come by and have some coffee. And I'll share more stuff in my story about it. But again, it's like, I never dreamed that type of opportunity would exist or that I'd make content about it. Like, I never thought that would be an option, or like that anyone would care about like me making content about, like, but so many people reached out. It's like, when you made that one reel, I felt so proud to be Ethiopian, or I felt so proud to be from East Africa, or it made me want to reconnect. I don't know how to do that, and I've always been like, you're first gen, how did you learn to do it? So it just felt really cool.
Wow.
And it's the type of conversations I want to have anyway. So
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. I'm glad you shared that.
thank you.
Well, thanks, Afomia. I feel like that's it. I don't have any more questions for you, and I really appreciate you being here, and I'd love to see you soon.
I'd love to see you soon too. Meow meow. Which one is that? Is that?
He's hungry. Everyone's hungry. Tennessee's everywhere.
Oh, hey Tennessee. Oh, Tennessee.
It's dinner time for everyone, myself included.
All right.
All right. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too. Bye, Mia.
Bye.